Alright, this is a full run of Soukyugurentai, a fantastic game developed by Raizing. And I wanted to add a commentary on scoring and I guess also basically review the game. And great title music, by the way. So as for the scoring, there's not that many replays available with English commentary, focusing on scoring at least. So I want to discuss some scoring techniques and point out what points enemies are worth and such. Pretty dry at times maybe. But I hope it may serve as a nice introduction to play this game for score. And as for the review, I have a lot of things to say about this game. It's not just that it's a great game, but it also came at a very interesting time there in the mid-90s when shoot-em-ups were declining, arcades were basically dying, these companies one after the other went bankrupt or just stopped making shooters. And these guys from Compile, they went in the opposite direction, joined an arcade company and focusing almost exclusively on shoot-em-ups. It lasted for 10 years, but that run, those 10 years, that was really good. I think this is my favorite shoot-em-up developer. And I think they tried to please both a console audience and arcade audience and try to compromise, and this game in particular is a good example of that. But anyway, let's start. I'm playing on difficulty setting 5, that's the arcade one. 4 is default on the Saturn for some reason. I guess they wanted to make it a little bit easier for the console audience. The red chip is my favorite. It's very strong, easy to control, a little bit slow maybe. The blue one is faster but weaker, a little bit too weak in my opinion. The green one is as strong as the red one but much more difficult to control. So the red one is my favorite so far. It's I guess the more beginner friendly one, but I'm thinking at some point to switch to the green because it has a little bit higher scoring potential, it seems. And the pilot of the red ship, a little bit of trivia is that her name is Kaoru Yashida and her name is a reference to an X-Men character, Wolverine's girlfriend. Raizing has a lot of those pop cultural references. I read it in an interview translated by Blackhawk and I will add a link to the description. Anyway, the year is 2054 and it's October 16th, quite late at night. I think this is supposed to be Tokyo, an inner area called Ota City, I think. And I think the sprite graphic has aged pretty well. I think it looks pretty nice. Nice ambient atmosphere. And these, the city is illuminated by these street lights and also the advertisement boards on those skyscrapers. And all those ads, by the way, I think they are from Sega. So I guess Sega will be relevant in 2054, which is kind of comforting to know. There's even those SS advertisements, and I hope SS stands for Sega Saturn, which means that also Sega Saturn will make a comeback in about 30 years. Other than that, it's kind of a dystopian plot. It's something about there's few resources left on Earth, so there's a couple of corporations that are battling desperately for those last resources, trying to get monopoly, and they're even planning to go to planet Mars to get some additional resources. And so you're really fighting other humans rather than aliens or so, like a typical shooter. There's not that much to talk about gameplay-wise. In the first stage, it's kind of slow for Raizing opening stage. If you compare to games like Battle Garega, Daimaho, Batrider, all of those games, there's so much to do even within the first couple of seconds. This one's much slower. I think it's more about setting up the mood, the atmosphere, with the soundtrack by Sakimoto, for instance. And I think they also wanted to illustrate this weapon that I'm using. So this is actually the secondary weapon. You have a regular main one, but it's almost useless. This secondary weapon is a kind of a three-dimensional web or grid. I call it web. And it can shoot enemies that are flying at layers above or below you. And you can target multiple enemy points, as you can see. And the maximum with this ship is 6 points. And if you target 6 points or 6 enemies at the same time and shoot them, you get a multiplier of 4, which means enemies will be worth 4 times as much as their base value. So this is the only weapon you can have a higher multiplier with, and so that's why you should use it almost all the time. My other strategy is to destroy these hatches or rocket launches on one side to give me some more space, and then the other side I save for the end because if I destroy it, this boss will spit so much more bullets. I'm trying to collect these bombs, and that's why I'm not really trying to kill the boss. I'm trying to stall him because I want as many bombs as possible. Right now I have 6, as you can see there, but when you collect the 11th one, you get an additional bomb bonus, which is something like 650,000 plus 1. Then you get that big bonus for every additional bomb after the 11th that you collect, so the 12th and the 13th, etc. So that's my 7th bomb. And I think it's kind of random whether you get bombs or power-up icons. But you get more of those power-up suppliers if you do not power up your weapon. And because the power-ups only level up your main shot, which is kind of useless in this game, I try to avoid them. Avoid them like the plague, really, because they really increase the rank and make bosses more difficult, for instance. Alright, this is the second stage. And I think that it's about orbiting around the Earth and trying to find a satellite that has the capacity to shoot the Earth from space. And so kind of surprise attacking that satellite. Incidentally, also the boss. These chips, the easiest way to kill them quickly is to target the thing on the back of them, in the middle. So cut a satellite head or something. It only requires 2 hits and it's down. And these enemies, if you kill these fast, including this one here, that one, you trigger these blue popcorn enemies, and they would not appear otherwise. There's a bunch of those kind of requirements and conditions. You need to kill some enemies fast to trigger more of them, which helps you get a higher multiplier. Although I kind of messed up my route here, so I had to improvise a little bit and didn't get all 4 multipliers. Those tanks on the sides that shoot these fire bullets, they were at 8,000. And the spider tanks, I think they were at something like 3,000 or something. So it's the tanks on the sides that are really valuable. And these popcorn enemies typically are worth just 1,000 each. I think this is maybe the easiest boss in the game, this satellite. And it's a little bit different from the other bosses. All the other bosses have a lot of vertical movements and vertical space, but this one covers like a lot of horizontal space, so you need to move horizontally with this boss a lot. My first priority with this boss is taking out the yellow parts I took out earlier, because otherwise during this attack they would have shot a lot of homing missiles. And then the second priority is taking out those wings on the sides. So the yellow parts, I think you could get 80,000 or something, taking them out with a 4 multiplier. And these wings, they're worth 20,000 each, so I think in total you can get 80,000 from them as well. But these, I don't know, things that are shooting these red-white bullets, they're not worth anything if you destroy them. So I'm just milking them and trying to collect more bombs, stalling this boss just as the previous one. I really like the sound effect when he shoots the laser. Sound effects are by Manabu Namiki, by the way. Maybe mostly known for Balgarega soundtrack. These turrets, they're worth 5,000. I'm waiting for a power-up supplier so I can get a 4 multiplier on them. And waiting for another one to get at least 2 this time. And these things that shoot these red, yellow bullets, there are twice as many of them if you have a little bit high rank. So if you powered up your main weapon, you will get more of those bullets. It's a nice indicator of rank. Now it's blinking. I want to destroy those turrets on the bottom first, without touching the core, because I want to get a 4 multiplier on it. I wanted to take out the turrets as well, as they were at 5,000 each, but I'm not sure I took them out. And 4% missing. If there's 0% missing, you get 500,000, but it also increases the rank. A perfect no missing. Alright, third stage. My favorite after the final one. It's end of October, still 2054. I think it's called something like Above the Clouds. It has one of my favorite musical pieces of the game by Sakimoto. It starts with these very dramatic string arrangements, and then after a while it adds some very rhythmic percussions that also adds to the tension, I think. So even if I have a pretty mediocre run going on, I still feel quite nervous just playing with this music on. It's a great piece. And I also wanted to talk a little bit about this bomb bonus. So as I said, you get something like 650,000 plus 1, so it changes the last digit of your score, and that's the only way to change it, I think. So right now I have, last digit is 3, so I've collected the bomb bonus 3 times. But, so you need to collect 11 bomb, and then every additional one will give you this bonus. But what happens, for instance, if you waste a bomb, or if you miss one, so if you miss this one, what would happen? Well, it would reset the score, the bomb count to 7. By the way, there at the bottom you could see the military tank. That's the one we're targeting. So we have found him, and now we're soon about to descend to deal with him. Also want to talk more about this weapon, this web weapon. So it can target enemies that are off the screen, that are, for instance, above the screen. And so it has a nice element to the gameplay. It extends the vertical gameplay. And this is interesting because in an interview, Toyama said that he really prefers vertical shooters above horizontal ones. He didn't say why, but I think it is because horizontal ones can easily feel that you're short on space, that they're kind of constrained or constricted. And if you use the vertical, of course, it can feel a little bit awkward. But here, because you can shoot enemies off screen, it kind of extends the vertical gameplay. They knew from the start when they programmed this game that this would be on STV hardware. So this was basically a Sega Saturn game right away. And so they knew a lot of people on the console would play this on a regular horizontal TV. And so that's why they wanted it to have a horizontal ratio, but they still wanted the gameplay vertical. And this web weapon really gives that vertical playing feel while still preserving the horizontal ratio. So I really feel it's a nice solution. You have more space to move, you have more space to shoot really than the screen itself. Alright, this boss is called Donryu, also has some nice dramatic percussions. I didn't do so well for score here, those arms are the more valuable ones. But I destroyed those 2 turrets on top too early because it prevented me from getting a high multiplier on the arms. It's good to destroy those turrets early if you want to play for survival though, because those homing missiles, these ones, they are attack. You get the turret attack simultaneously as those homing missiles, and that can be really, really difficult. And I really like that flame attack, this attack. It has some element of randomness to it that makes it a little bit different, so I feel I have never really gotten it down fully. Speaking of randomness, the way these bomb bonuses appear with a little bit of random timing and location, as well as these power-up icons that I'm really trying to avoid, it adds a lot of element continuously to the game, so even if you have memorized the path, you still need to improvise a lot and be able to change your plans quickly. And this is something I really like with Toyama games in particular, and Raizing more generally. Jagawa games has it too with all the meddling. Alright, we successfully dealt with Donryu. The center, as the English version is called. Stage 4, space stage. Now it's November. I think we're behind the moon, and I think someone has attacked an asteroid, destroying. So we're in the middle of an asteroid belt, and there's rocks all over. And it changes the gameplay a little bit because now you can target these rocks to add to the multiplier. So it's very easy to get 4. And I guess here the other ships are superior because you can easily get 6 and 7 multiplier, 5 and 6 multipliers with the other ships. Those green little ones, I like the way they attack. They shoot like 2 waves of bullets, and the second one is a little bit ahead of you, and so it's very easy to crash into it. So you need to kind of move back and forth with these green enemies. And these enemies that circles around you, let's see if we see another one. Yeah, these ones. They make like 3 circles around you, and then when they take off, they shoot 1 single bullet at you, and that bullet very often gets me. I really like how they shoot at you. They're worth 5,000, so pretty valuable as well. But these tanks, they're worth 20,000 each. Are they tanks? I think so. Space tanks. Not sure what they're doing right now in space. Maybe these are the ones that destroy the asteroid. And here I needed to improvise a little bit because of this bomb icon. So I like that with Raizing. You always need to be on your toes, ready to adapt. And I also like this wall of tanks. I've never destroyed all of them. I always miss the last one at least. One strategy I like to do here is to switch the weapon here, but I kind of messed up though. I wanted to switch and then switch back. So you switch to the wide weapon to target those enemies, then you switch back to the stronger one and then you shoot. Kind of messed up this time though. This stage is a little bit easier than the previous stage, I think, and much easier than the next one. So it's a little bit of a step down in tension. It's a little bit more of a relief, I think. But this boss though is quite difficult. It's one of my favorite bosses in the game. The English name of this boss is Victimizer, which I think sounds silly. It sounds like one of those robots in Robot Wars. I really like those blue sweet laser beams. They look so nice. These are eye candy to me. And he really feels like an intelligent being that you're fighting. He tries to trap you and he tries to sweep those lasers sometimes. And he's really affected by rank. So if you powered up your ship before him, he gets much more difficult. He has 5 target points, so 1 on each arm and then 3 on his head. And it's easy to miss the one on top of his head, so I just target 2 there. But I want to target all 5 of them when he's blinking, so that I can get a 4 multiplier together with the power-up icon. And that's what I was going for here, because he was blinking. But he didn't die. He had some remaining life left, so unfortunately I only got a 2 multiplier on him. And he messed up my bomb chain, so no more bomb bonuses for me, unfortunately. 5th stage. And this is a bump up in difficulty level, I think. These submarines are worth quite a lot. Start here in the middle is the easiest way. Take out one of them and then the other. And then it's kind of easy to deal with the rest. I haven't really learned that well to play this game for this stage for score. But I recently watched the replay and I'm trying to adapt some of his strategies. But here the bomb icons came in the way, so I had to improvise and kind of messed up the whole route here in the first half. So it's a bit of improvisation and it's more survival than scoring here. Those turrets here at the top, they worth quite a lot in the second forms. They have 2 forms. If you shoot the first one, it's only worth 2,000. But the second form, this one, that's 20,000. And those enemies that shoot green shots, they're worth 10,000 each. But the catch with the turrets is that the second form self-destructs very quickly, so you only have a couple of seconds to destroy it. So you need to shoot first and then quickly shoot again. So there's another turret to the left, and then I tried to sweep it and shoot others, but maybe I was too slow. The red chips appear again, same as stage 3, but now they come in too. I really like the way those bullet patterns cross each other or intersect. And here I kind of messed up a little bit, had to bomb twice, I think. At least I got a 3 multiplier on the red chip. This stage is maybe one of the less memorable in this game. I like the blue ocean, but it's not that much more to it in the background. And this boss, I feel, does not have the charisma of the other bosses. There's some nice details to it maybe, but not my favorite in the game. It's kind of difficult. I kind of missed the boss. I missed the bomb there. It's also difficult. I haven't really learned to deal with it. Maybe that's why I don't like him so much. It's a nice boss. Those 4 things at the bottom, they're the more valuable things. Those, and when you destroy them, that's when you get a bomb bonus. Trigger the next part of the boss. I kind of messed up there. I had to bomb, and I didn't want to bomb those things at the bottom, so I lost a couple of 100,000 there. These things are also very valuable. You get a couple of 100,000 for just destroying those rocket launching hatches and satellite heads. One strategy is to not destroy that satellite head at the top, and instead timing out, if you want to avoid dealing with this last form, this one, because it's much more difficult. So instead of wasting a couple of bombs, you could timing out and maybe collect even a few bombs. At least if you're going for a bomb bonus, timing him out would be a nice option. So stage 6, my favorite stage of this game, across all shooters I think. It has the nice string arrangement intro, very dramatic, just like in stage 3. Some nice percussion to it as well. Then you have this beautiful pinkish red background. Oops, I died. And then you have some nice blue laser beams in the background as well that distract you. And then they get in the foreground and they can actually hurt you and look great to me. And the music piece goes into some kind of choir-like sound. Guess it's some kind of synthesizer. And then the aggressive drums get into it, some snare drum. Alright, so this red ship, I try to destroy it as fast as possible before it shoots these Psycho fast bullets. And when you shoot it fast, you get these 4 planes as a reward. So you can get a better score at least. Bam bam bada ba bam bada ba dam. I was lucky there getting a bomb accidentally. Otherwise I would have gotten a lot of power-ups. Not good for rank. Here a strategy is to bomb here, that one, because then that bomb will damage those chips enough that you can take them out with one shot and get a 4 multiplier on both of them with a single shot, so that's pretty nice. And the last form of those chips is worth I think 50,000 points. Behind those 3 turrets there are 2 vehicles and they are worth 20,000 each. It's the same vehicles as in stage 3, but now they're kind of passive. And I kind of messed up a little bit, unfortunately. Behind those 3 turrets there are also a bunch of vehicles. Then I take out those 2 planes and the next ones to make it a little bit easier. I was trying to go for the vehicles there on the right, but I died. So I was trying to reach that one. But reflecting on that failure, I died. And this ship I wanted to take out earlier with that shot, but I missed. I should have shot him one more time before. Here, taking out those 2 planes on the left before they enter screen, and then the red brownish one, makes this pattern much easier to dodge. And then I want to go for the final plane to make the other 2 ships ascend. So yeah, you can shoot them all. I missed the last one though. We're approaching the first boss of this stage. This one, the final form is worth 200,000. It's the most valuable here, I think. So I'm really focusing on the final form, or the central core. Shooting it enough that it's blinking, and then I will take them all out in one shot. So now it starts to blink a little bit more intensively. Then I wait for the turrets to activate. And then try to sweep it along with a power-up carrier. But I missed that power-up supplier, so I didn't get the 4 multiplier, but at least 3. So I got 600,000. And then it starts to get a little bit quiet, a little bit slow playing again. Raizing setting up the mood, building some anticipation for the next boss basically. I like that they take the time with this stage and let things settle in. It's a long stage. I think like 10 minutes at least. So this is the second boss of this stage, and unlike the previous one, this one, the central core, that thing that shoots this string of bullets, that one isn't worth anything, 0 points I think. So it's those turrets on the sides that are worth a lot. But they are worth a lot, so I think you can get many hundreds of thousands by just destroying those turrets with 4 multiplier. And here I like that, well, I missed the bomb unfortunately. Here I really like that a simple strategy is just to circle around the boss, although you shouldn't do that. But maybe a unnecessary bomb. But I like that Raizing encourage you to move around a lot. So unlike a lot of other games where with the bosses you kind of just passively waiting at the bottom of the screen and just micro-dodging all the time, slow patterns. But here you need to move around a lot and need to use the whole screen to your advantage. There are two turrets here at the bottom. I'm not sure what deactivates them, because there's something you can do to deactivate them before they even enter the screen. Taking out the 3 turrets here on the left is first priority, because they are really nasty. And here, if you want to aim for a good score, maybe you should destroy those things on the top first. The other ones, if you destroy any of those at the bottom, you destroy the whole thing. And still the music is quite slow. There's a long build-up before it reaches the next boss. And we have the beautiful red pinkish background again, very psychedelic. And I think that the title of the game is a reference to that color. I think Suki means blue sky, and I think Gurentai means this red lotus color. And the popcorn enemies from the first stage of the game, they're back, a little bit more aggressive now. But with not too high rank, maybe not too bad. And if you're proactive, if you take them off before they almost enter the screen, they're not that bad. Difficulty if they get on the side, like here, kind of messed up a little bit. I wasted probably a couple of 100,000 bombing all those turrets there. This is a typical Raizing attack, these sweeping lasers that you need to follow. But I bombed my way out of it instead. This part of the bomb, this form, is not worth anything, I think. So I just want to destroy it quickly, because this is the valuable form. This one is worth 1 million. And it has 4 target points. So if you also target the power-up supplier, you can get a multiplier free of this boss at least. And those purple whitish bullets remind me of a lot of bullets in Bat Rider. So now it's blinking actively, so now I'm trying to wait for a final power-up. And there we go, and then we can get a 3 multiplier, so that's 3 million. Alright, final boss. It's the same one from... it's a return of the first boss of the game. I think the boss in Japanese is called either Kokobetsu or Kurogaku or something like that. The English name of the boss is Gambiter, so this is Gambiter 2. He has learned a new weapon, he has learned our weapon, this web. And but he cheats kind of, because he targets enemy points where there's no enemy. This weapon is called NALs, so it's so important in this game that the designer had to come up with a special name for it. And the name, he got 1 week, and the name he came up with was Non-Blind Spot All-Range Laser System. I think he did well. But anyway, that was the boss, and we actually made it. We cleared Soukyugurentai, so now cue heroic but sad music. And I don't know much about the story here. I played the Terra Diver English version once, and I think it says something that the pilot Kaoru Yoshida, she went on to be a freelancer, a very appreciated one after this, and then soon after she retired. And I guess she flew away up to the sun. Maybe not the smartest move. And that's it. Toyama, Yoko, they would make Daimaho after this. Watanabe, Kuri Kuri Kuri, Shibayama, main programmer of Beyblade, and Uchiai would program Battle Garega with Jagawa. And the composers Sakimoto, Namiki, they would go on to make Batrider 2 years after this. In between, Sakimoto started to work for Square. In 1997 he worked on Final Fantasy Tactics soundtrack. And now to the most important part of the video, entering scoring initials, so I will be quiet now. Alright, this was fun. I will probably do something more of this kind, somewhat in-depth reviews or showing gameplay, full runs. Maybe Alien Soldier is next. And then after that, maybe a review of the full catalog of Raizing shooters. Going through them one by one, what each contributed and such. I would like to do something like that. Also considering doing reviews on 90s RPGs like the Shining series, Fire Emblem, Langrisser, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that kind of content, please subscribe. Please.